Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back today, and I'm so excited for my guest. My name is Leslie Montgomery, and you are tuned into LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned. And today we're going to be talking about mental health as one topic, but we have many to cover. And I'm so excited for Dr. Venetta being here. And as we do all the time, let's get started. So, Dr. Venetta, thank you so much for being here today. Um, as we were talking in the back, there were so many effective things that you said, and my heart was jumping for joy as you were speaking about with your heart, how you operate through your heart, and how your desire is for those that are around you. It's not for you, and you didn't say anything that was puffed up. You didn't say anything that was I. You talked about what you desire to see people have and to go through. I guess you could say to go through life changes. And one of my desire is to see not just the kingdom, to see people live a different lifestyle, to live an abundant life, to know and understand that whatever way they are that's not working, whatever things that they're going through that is not allowing them to live life, that there is a way, that there is an answer. So we are so glad to have you here today. Now I have to tell uh, the story of how I met you, or kind of didn't meet you. I kind of came up and said, "My name is Leslie Montgomery. I would love for you to be a guest on Leslie's Lesson Learning." You were like so graceful and saying, "Okay." And we met at Speak Up Sis awards dinner. And you were the lady in the red dress. If anybody sees any of the takes from the dinner, you see this lady in the red dress. That was Dr. Venetta, and in that red dress, she just gracefully went around. She danced. She was just enjoying herself, but she was able to. I don't know if it was let me calm down. She won, or I shouldn't say won. She was chosen to be a participant in getting the I can't even say it now, humanitarian award for the work that she does. If you didn't get that award, I wouldn't have never known what you did.
Right.
And for the fact that I thought that was, I was like, wow, that's amazing that you were able to receive that award. And I don't even think you knew you were going to win it. And that night, it just did my heart good to see you up there and expressing. You said, no one has ever given me anything. I've never won anything. And I just appreciate you coming on, appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because your schedule, I need to see your calendar. I don't know how you do all that you do, but thank you so much for coming on. Can you take a minute and just introduce us, greet the audience as they're coming in?
Sure, sure. Thank you. I mean, it is an honor to be here, and I'm still in awe of how we met, and so I'm very humbled. So I'm Venetta Mwengella. I am a primary care provider and a psychiatric mental health care provider, licensed in 3 states. So if you see me like running around different states, no, that's why. But that's just for me. I started off in primary care, but my passion now is in mental health. And even though I'm double board certified, you will find that all of my extra activities are centered around mental health. And because I feel like that's an area of need, yes,
It
but it's
is.
an area that speaks to my heart in a way that I can even explain. So I have learned one thing in life is to follow my heart. And when I say my heart, I'm talking to that inner voice. And for those who know, You can call it the higher power, you can call it God, you can call it whatever you call it, but that's that voice that I listen to. And at times it doesn't make sense to me, but I listen to it anyways. And that's why I'm sitting here today because of that. So everything else, I feel like it's just for the glory of God. He's given us everything He's given us. He has just for His own glory, so we can serve. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. And for that particular day, it was like out of this planet for me. And you saw how happy I was because I finally realized that someone was noticing the amazing things that we were doing, and that it was not just in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was an honorary award, so it was like awarded. I was not even a category of trying to be. It was just selected and honored that day. So that was the only difference between all the other ones where you had to wait to hear if you were voted on or not. So you remember when I went up the stage, and honestly, when I always speak, I don't write. I never write down anything. I let the spirit lead, and I just show.
Okay.
And we're talking today. I didn't even ask you what we're going to be talking about, but I believe that when I show up, I let the spirit speak because there is a reason why I'm sitting here today that is even probably bigger than all of us. And like Steve Jobs said, you will always connect the dots backwards. And so I never worry about things like this. And I show up and I said, God, like when you were praying and you were saying, Lord, let us decrease so you can increase. I was like, that's exactly what I show up to do every day. Because through me, he can take care of all these patients. Through me, he can tell me what to tell them to do. Through me, he can do the healing process that he needs to do to transform their minds and renew their life. So for me, it's always like showing up and just being who God has called me to be, who God is, the things that God has blessed me to be, and how can I be of service. So sitting
That's
here today, I
good.
know is divinely ordained, and I don't take it very lightly. I cleared everything on my schedule. Like since morning, I've been up just waiting for 5 o'clock. And this is not because for anything, as you know. And it's not just because Angel was on, because that's my girl. Like I follow her everywhere. I was like, oh,
She
you,
just popped in too. Hey, Angel.
because I see the anointing. I feel it. And I told her, I said, I'm not gonna let you go. Like I so I was like, oh no, she's on. I was up early looking at my thing. As soon as it was on, I was right there, front row, right? And whatever she did that day forever changed my life. And I told her when I was doing what I was doing, I wasn't even, my head was down, just focusing on the things I was doing. But because somebody noticed, and they didn't just notice, they honored me with this award. I said, this just tells me that there is more to be done. So I'm sitting up like, Lord, where do you want me to go now? Like I know you're going somewhere, because she is the woman that I respect so much. And if she noticed and she took the time to honor me with an award, I don't take it lightly.
Amen.
I knew for sure it just wasn't about standing there that day. It's for the future, that wherever God is trying to take us to. And here I am sitting here today because of that day. So can you perceive what the Lord is doing?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know where it's taking us, but one day we sure will connect the dots backwards. I say this. I can feel it right in there in my heart. So
Yeah. That's good. You you have three practices. If I'm saying that correctly.
3 states. I practice in 3 states. So
Three
when it comes
states.
to
And
medical,
out of the state.
so when it comes to the medical field, you have to be licensed to practice in
Right.
a state. So I
Right.
just have to be licensed in three: Georgia,
Hmm.
Maryland, and California.
California.
I
Yeah.
plan to add more because I want to
Uh,
reach children. I plan to add more states to
really?
reach God's children everywhere. But
Yeah.
fortunately, you can only you have to be licensed to practice in a state, like to actually see patients and write prescriptions and see them. You can't just be sitting. You can't just do that, or they have to come to
Right.
you. But I feel like if we have to reach out to everyone in the way that I want to reach out, I'm gonna have to add more states on my under my belt. It takes a lot to get all of that. It's not cheap, but God always provides for when He calls you. He gives you what you need to do the work
Yes.
called you to do. So
Where there's a vision, there's provision, you know.
where's my pen? We gotta take
Yeah, that
that.
that that is so so good. Now now you're also in the mental health field, and you said that that's your passion now. Not saying that helping in the medical, I don't even know if I could say medical field because they're both the medical field,
Right. So
but
primary care basically you take care I take care of it. I see you from the head to toe, right? Taking care of everything. So when I specialize in psychiatric mental health care, like I'm a specialist now in that area. So I still see patients in the primary care side of things. However, both those two systems kind of work hand in hand. Like if you're healthy, let's say for example you have all this you have a six pack, you're eating right, you have a healthy weight, you're doing all the things you have to do, you go to the gym, you eat the fruits and you're juicing and doing all the intermittent fasting, and your mind is not right, there is a problem. So I look at the mind, I look at the body, and I look at the spirit, so the soul. So those three
yes,
not in alignment, then there is a little problem because you have to look at all three. So if I constantly exercise and I'm meditating, but my soul is not feeding, I'm not feeding my soul, say with the word, I'm not connecting to my higher power, I'm not connecting to God, then there is a problem too. So I look at all three, and I'm blessed to be able to be double board certified in those two areas. And when it comes to the area of my spirituality, I connect with my God. So all those three areas I work in. So let's say if I walk into a room where I'm about to see somebody for their hypertension or diabetes, there is such a moment where I talk about other things that are related to that, because I would say there are other ways that you can manage your blood pressure by using calming music, by using mindfulness techniques where you can meditate and you can, take care of your blood pressure in this way. Deep breathing exercises, there are other things. So even though I'm seeing you in a capacity here in a primary care setting, I'm still incorporating everything I know in that particular visit. And for my patients who are open to it, because when I started off practicing, I was working in a community based center that was federally funded. So most of the individuals there, it was more like it was religious based. So we prayed with our patients because they already knew that we were faith based organization. So it was okay for me to pray with my patients. It was okay for me to send them to the chaplain because we're taking care of the mind, the body, and the soul. So those three areas are always important, even though you could specialize in this area, or I can see somebody who's battling severe depression or schizophrenia. But we also have to make sure that they're eating right, and then that their blood pressure is okay, and then that if they're diabetic, then they're taking their meds, and then we're monitoring their sugar and making sure that they're taking their insulin if they have to. So it's so hard, like you said, to separate them per se, but for the purposes of billing and coding and all of that, you got to use the different codes to separate that. But as an individual who has been working, I've been working on myself so that I can be of best service to God's children. I always say God's children because I'm one of them as well. And I feel like whatever I do has to align with what he wants for us. So he wants us to always to be in good health. He wants us to be in good sound mind, right? So good health, primary care, sound mind, mental health, and he wants us to always be in connection with him. So that's where the soul comes in. So
I
it's
love it.
you can't really separate those in a kind of way beyond just billing and coding. And when I practice, I bring all three into it.
Yeah.
I'll call it, for some of my patients who don't call it God or don't believe in God per se, I always call it something else. I say you can say the higher power or that thing that you know that is out there that's guiding you, or that it doesn't have to be. You don't have to call it God, but we all know there's only one higher power, just one.
That's one. That's right. There's only one.
One.
I love it. I was just sitting here thinking. I'm like, you still taking openings? I might need to start riding to Atlanta. Take the little hike to Atlanta to get a good doctor.
The beauty of mental health is that I can see you via tele, like me and you sitting here right here.
I know. I was like, Lord, don't let her diagnose me. She'd probably say tomorrow morning, be on my sofa.
No way. I don't do that. I don't even know unless I'm invited. I because I believe I said, you know what, the way God works, He works in ways we cannot see, and if He sees that you need anything, He'll put the right people along your path. And when it's that time, especially when it comes with mental health, you can't just go invade somebody's space like that, especially their mental space. You could instead shut them down because hey, why you diagnosing me, like why you like I can't even be free around you because I'm no. I even forget most of the time. I even forget that I'm a practitioner if I'm not at work, if I'm not actually seeing a patient. I don't even remember those things until I am, or unless it's an emergency, then I know I have to jump in. Like I was flying to California one time, and there was an individual. I don't know how God made it. He was 2 seats ahead of me, and I was trying to stand up to go use the restroom, and he was also standing up at the same time. But when he stood up, I realized that he just fell like on the ground. And I was already standing, so I jumped up. And I have background in critical care as well, so we're the ones that respond when. So I had to jump in there and quickly grabbed. I was traveling for work, so I had all my equipment with me. So I grabbed it
Wow.
and I was checking. His blood pressure was very low. We had to instantly I got his pressure. We got him back into the seat, and then checked his oxygen was low. I had to put him on oxygen. I had to recruit the person sitting next to him. I said, "You hold this tank, no matter the turbulence. Don't let it drop." And we
Wow.
that we were going to check his sugar. We didn't have a glucometer. I said, "I'll rather err on the side of high. If he was hypo, let's just give him orange juice right now. Give him something." And he started perking back up. Stayed with me, and the pilot was asking, "Do we have to land?" I was like, well, based on what I'm seeing right now, he's responding to me. Let's just see how it goes. So I took care of this guy. It was like the flight time that was left was about 2.5 hours. So we made it all the way to Atlanta. But I said what I would like for them to do was to have EMS waiting on the ground as we land. So we connected to the doctors on the ground, and I was like, no, we don't need to land the plane. I'm monitoring him right now, and everything was at this point kind of like stable to the point where we didn't need to land the plane. So when
Wow.
we get on the ground, I would like for him to go straight to the ER so that we can figure out why he had the syncopal episode, we will call it. So because I can't have all the full picture, I need labs, I need all of that, and we can only know that if we go to the hospital. So
Wow.
I still is to say that God will put the right people when you need it and wherever. So he ended up. I mean, of course, I had to go, but he ended up in the hands of the EMS. I made sure, handed him off, and then I was good to go. So these things, God will always put us there. Um,
Yeah.
when it
He's so
comes
intentional.
Yes, when it comes to that, then it kicks in. But if it's not, it's off. Like if I'm just like me, just regular me, going where I'm going. But these are the things we do is just behind the scene. And when I do it that way, I don't even think about it because when I got to baggage claim and I was trying to get my bags, and somebody was running and coming to me and said, "So you're the flight? I think it was flight 902. You're the flight 902 hero." And then I was trying to look behind me to see who they're talking to, like 902 hero.
It was just something you do.
He was like, "No, you." I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, when you were helping, I'm sorry, we couldn't help you. We didn't know what to do." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was just doing my job. Like, honestly,
Awesome.
I do that for a living. That's what I told them. But it doesn't really, I don't look at it that way. I don't take it, but I just feel like what I want to do with this calling that is in me is to serve. So when I'm
Yes. So
serving, it's like I'm at home.
since we're on the plane, I know you've gotten off, but since you're on the plane, because you go out of the country as well to serve, talk about that.
Oh, sure. So what I do to give back, I just needed a more structured way to give back. So I had to create a foundation, and this foundation was is just to raise mental health awareness. I feel like there's a lot of stigma surrounding mental health, and people don't openly talk about it like they should, and people don't really know about the resources that they have at their disposal. So I started off this foundation. It was sometime it also I was running away from it, but one of my sister, I talked to her about it. I was like, I don't know, every day I wake up, it keeps telling me that I need to do this, and I've been running away because I say I'm so busy. I say no, I don't have time. Where am I going to fit this into everything that I do? and I couldn't make sense out of it. It's like I give a lot to other charitable organizations anyways. Like I'm giving back in that way financially because it's easy, right? I just send the money and they do the work, and I just like, hey, I like this. So, and she was like, no, if it is calling you like that, it's because I don't want to join a Nineveh situation where I'm going to end up in the belly of a fish, like going to the direction where God wants me to go. I keep running this way. And by the time I was trying to think about it that way, I was in the air, like you said, we're talking about planes, landed, and I found out that I lost my job. And I was like, okay. I, when I think about it now, I said that was God's way of saying, "Hey, you don't want to listen. You don't want to do what I want to call you to do. Okay." Not that He was taking my job away, but He wanted me to sit down where I wasn't trying to go to work. And then for that moment, God's so kind. I had some savings, so but I was like, "Whoa, yes, I do have these savings, but it's gonna run dry." And it was like in the middle of the pandemic, and they had just canceled everything, my contract, my everything. It was like almost somewhere out of nowhere and didn't even see it coming. Call my
Right.
boss, immediate boss. She was like, I don't know nothing. Like they've not given me any information about that. I don't know what you're talking about. You're on the schedule. I said, I know I'm on the schedule, but I have this letter in my face. So of course I couldn't go, right? So I sat down, took some time, and then I started thinking about this thing that has been calling me. And that's when I started researching and started looking, what do I have to do? And then I got into it and got it registered. It's a 501(c)(3) in the US. I fly to Cameroon twice a year to see patients. I see them with just providing mental health services. I try to stay away from the physical health stuff because there's more logistics involved with that, and I don't have that capacity yet. So I specialize in mental health care. I see them. I provide psychotherapy even when I'm over here. So the patients that I see every year, and then I put them on my schedule. I follow up with them. I'm partnering with two hospitals right now in Cameroon, the Baptist Healthcare System and the Boya Regional Hospital. So I see patients at those locations because it's tied. When I see them, then they have a place to follow up, because you can't just see somebody and diagnose them in the air and then they don't have anywhere else to go. So when I see them, at least they have a place to go. And this time around, I just came back. I went there. I mostly go for like 5 days, and we saw a lot of patients. This one was a smaller city, so we saw about 31 patients that day. The last time I
That's
was
a
there, we
lot.
saw almost 50 patients in a day, and I had like two more clinicians who go with me because I used to go by myself, and it would be like from 6 a.m. in the morning, and I don't get back home till like 7 p.m. And all this while, I just go, go, go till the end. They said, "Won't you eat? Won't you?" I was like, the only thing I get up to do is to take a bathroom break because I just keep going and I lose track of time. And I have two clinicians now who are also seeing patients with me when I go. I'm so grateful. They're all volunteering their services. Nobody's asking me to pay them anything, and we're offering our services. And this is free to the people who come in. And I find that most of the time people don't go get checked up because they say they don't have the money. So let's take that barrier out of the way. Let's give them the screening they need, and then connect them with the resources they need so that they can be at
Wow.
optimal health and mental well-being. And I also support single parents because even when I lost my job, I'm a single mom. So I said, just imagine somebody who doesn't have a job, and then you're raising kids. Like, how do you do it? That
Right. Right.
brought that to perspective a lot because I said, not only are you struggling with all the different mental conditions that come with you being a single parent, because we all know so when someone becomes a single parent, it's either through a divorce, through maybe somebody raped you, and excuse if the language is very strong, and then you became a single parent that way. Or divorce is no joke, rape is no joke, or maybe you lost your loved one, and that's also your grieving. So everything around single parenthood is just surrounded with a lot of tough situations.
Yeah.
What I've noticed is that people typically focus on, okay, the children have, school tuition, the kids are taken care of, but nobody really focuses on that single parent, what they're going through per se. And most of the single parents too just jump into taking the role of the dad, and they keep going and going and going, and they never stop to take a
In a
minute,
zone. In a
focus.
zone. Raising. Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
find that giving them economic relief, especially those who don't have a job at all. I find that giving them, taking their skills and turning it into some kind of economic empowerment by giving them seed money to start something so that they can take care of their children and take care of themselves without necessarily trying to beg or trying to be on somebody under somebody's mercy, because we all know that's also traumatic when somebody has to remind you every day it's because of me that you're doing XYZ. But when they are empowered economically, they can stand up and show up for their children. And I heard it, one of them told me one time, he said, for the first time, my daughter was sick and I counted the money and paid the bill. Said that feeling alone, that I didn't have to run to other people and trying to beg and explain and put my story out there just to get this, it felt so empowering. And that's one of the things that brings me joy. So I go there twice a year unfailingly. God willing, I'm going to continue to
You
go.
just left there, right? Didn't you?
Yes,
Because I
when
remember you sent me a text and said I just landed or something like that.
yeah, I was in and out. So many people was like, you were just there, and then you just back, and then you were just in here. I was like, yeah, I need to do this thing. So I was there. I go in December and June, the end of May, early June, and then I go in December. I'm actually out there for like 5 days, and I could do 3 cities, and then I'm back, like in and out. So those are the things I do. I also have a podcast where I talk about. I just have
Yeah,
therapeutic conversations, and I feel like I wanted to use, because when you're at the hospital or at the clinic, you're also practicing following guidelines. You have to monitor how you how you do the things you're doing. So, but I felt like with my podcast, I can say whatever I want to say. I can be me. I can just do the things that I want to do and tell you what I want to say without being too mindful about breaking company policies or getting in trouble and stuff like that. Because when it comes with um, the corporate world, there's certain things that you just have to stay out of the work politics and other things. But when I'm on my podcast, I can freely speak, because there are times when even to talk about religion, they don't want you to push religion on people, and it's just hard to. But at times when I'm in my own personal space, I feel like we can talk about anything. So I call it therapeutic conversations, because it's a judgment-free zone, and we can take a deep dive into anything without you feeling like, oh, I'm being judged, or I need to mind the way I talk. And it's in line with what you were talking today with Angel about being authentic. I wanted a space where people can just be them and just have a therapeutic conversation.
yeah.
And,
So, but you have two podcasts. You have that one, and you have the Is it therapeutic? Um,
therapeutic conversations with Van. That's the podcast, just one.
okay, it's just one. I thought it was two different ones.
No.
So, what are the ages that you deal with? Yeah, what are the ages?
I see across the lifespan. The only thing I don't do is I don't deliver babies. So I can see you when you're pregnant right up till, and then you go see your OBGYN to deliver your baby, and you
Right.
get right back with that baby as from 3 days old.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I see across the lifespan. So I see from the 3 day old baby all the way to grandpa, all the way.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, how about on the mental health side?
Both. So
Both.
I
Oh,
see
okay.
across the lifespan, yes.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
but the people that you see have to live within that state. Is that how
Yeah.
that goes?
For me, it's especially on my podcast or having therapeutic conversations with me. You could be anywhere in the world, and but for me to be able to, this is because of state laws. Because every state have their own laws, and if you practice with a different license in another state, you might be breaking state laws or doing something
Right.
that's not allowed in that state. So I only see people in the states that I'm licensed in, because that way I'm covered. And I don't think you can even call, because each state, like I have a DEA for Georgia, I have a DEA for a different DEA number for Maryland, I have a different. So if I'm calling prescriptions or doing all of that, they have to match those credentials for the
Right.
to even see it as a thing. So that's the only reason. But if I have to do therapy, I can do it anywhere. If it's off, if you're not billing, if I'm not billing you, if I'm not doing all of that, then it doesn't get to nothing. Nobody can stop me from having a conversation with anybody. But if I has to do with practicing and providing and then billing and doing all of that, then it has to be in alignment with state laws.
Okay. So you mentioned about your podcast, but you didn't say when it shows,
So
when you
my
air.
I so this is the thing. I used to do it once a week, where I have an episode once a week, and then I got to a point where I had this huge project I was working on, and it was taking so much time, and it was tied to a deadline. So I kind of slowed down on it. But this January, we're picking it back up. And
Okay.
I'm a total introvert. Like showing up on camera and doing all of this, I it's easy for me to sit in the background. I was cool with doing it, but I got pushed, and I think it's just God calling. Someone just reached out and they're like, "Nope, we need to take this podcast to video as well." So they're working on it. So I just kind of put everything on hold while we're reforming and changing
Awesome.
it. So, but it was.
Awesome.
I have some episodes up there, but I did record once a week. It was on Mondays because then I could use Sunday to record and edit, and that worked well. But when it's coming now, we're changing everything. We're gonna need a good studio for it. We're gonna need, so it's a little bit more than just sitting behind the mic.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's amazing. And
For
you're
every
doing an amazing job. I do want to take a minute and thank everyone that is here. I want to, those that I see, Alfreda, thank you. Angel is on, thank you. Minister Wanda is on, thank you so much. I've seen some other names on here too, but listen, take a moment and say hi. Deborah is on. Thank you so much. Take a moment wherever you are. Put something in the chat. Let us know that you're there. Darlene, Pastor Darlene is on. So there's many that are on, and um, there's a question: what part of California are you in?
San Francisco, SFO. So SFO, SSF is just South San Francisco.
Prophetess Cynthia is on. Thank you so much, all of you. Take a moment if you haven't and hit the like sign, share, and subscribe. This is such a powerful conversation, and I'm glad that we're having it. I want you to really dive in for a minute and talk about, really talk about mental health. Some of the things we talked about in the background. Before we came on, I was like, "Oh, that's perfect for us to go into that segment." I don't know if you remember all that we talked about, but just talk about the mental. She's in the Bay Area. Yay, she's in the Bay Area. Uh,
Yeah.
so take a moment and talk to us about that. Um, I think that mental health sometimes is a silent killer as well. You know how they say diabetes could be different areas of your body, and it could be a silent killer. Sometimes the heart, you don't know that anything's going on, and then all of a sudden, like even if you weren't there on the plane with that man might not have made it off alive, you know. But mental health is such a touchy but a very needed conversation. Not so, and I know that's not just because you say mental health. Some people go automatically to the hard end of it, and it doesn't have to be. It could be something very simple that has triggered you
Right,
and
right,
caused you to end up that way.
right. So, one of the first thing I always say each time I have a mental health conversation is just to be very clear. So, just like how we have physical health, we have mental health. So, so many people are like, "Oh, this one is a mental health patient." So, those are using the word in that way shows me that you don't have a full understanding when anybody's saying it. So, mental health is a state of well-being, just like physical health. Okay, my physical health is in optimal state, my mental health is in optimal state. Now when your mental health is not in optimal state, that's when you have mental health disorders. So people need to understand that. Now when I have a mental health disorder or a mental health challenge, or times I put it that way, it is a time when I am not okay, and I want people to know that it is okay to not be okay. It is not, that's where the stigma comes in, where people want to hide. People are ashamed of talking about these conditions. Now, it could be something that is transient. We know we all go through difficult times in life. It could be something that you're going through and it affects your mood. Your mood is different from a state that you're in continuously. Your mood could change. In the morning, you can wake up and you want to start your car and it doesn't start and you have to be
Right.
somewhere. At that moment, you're not gonna be okay. You're not gonna, unless you're really Jesus, you're not gonna just be sleeping and be cool, right? You're gonna worry. You're gonna be like, oh, what are they gonna think? If anything, you're gonna start worrying about where you were supposed to be at, how you're not gonna show up there, right? In that moment, you could be anxious, but it is transient. You could have a little bit of anxiety, and that could make your palms sweat. That could make your heart race. Things like that. Now, all of us go through this from time to time because there's such a thing as healthy stress anyways. When you're going through a project, when you're going through something for the first time, you have that healthy anxiety in you. You have that you can't sleep. Have you ever noticed when you're going for a job interview, you just realize instantly that you want to pee, you want to go use the bathroom right now, and you are fine, especially when they call your name, right? All of those are just things that are built in all of us. At times, it helps us fight or flight. It helps us do the things that we have to do. It gives us that extra push because we see ourselves in this state. However, when you are in a constant state, so if you come to me right now and you describe that, oh, I've been feeling just down and blue, just the first thing I want to ask you when I ask you all these questions, you notice that I'll ask you, has it been for more than 2 weeks?
Mm.
Because a mood can last for 2 weeks, or just a transient thing can last for 2 weeks. So we start saying, oh, different things will require, some things might be, has it lasted for more than a month? But when it comes to depression, 2 weeks. So have you been feeling this way for more than 2 weeks? And if the answer is yes, that's when I see it as a pertinent positive. Now, there are lots of things that need to stack up for an individual to be diagnosed with depression. So I know people throw the word depression every time I say, oh, I'm just so depressed because my car won't start. Not really. Not
Mm.
really. You're feeling down. You're sad because it's just today your car didn't start, right? But when you just wake up for no reason and don't want to get out of bed and you're feeling down, and every day you wake up, the things that you used to love doing, maybe you used to love yoga, you don't want to do yoga no more. You used to love swimming, you don't want to swim no more for no reason. You just not want to go. You don't want to shower. You don't want to get out of bed. You at times you can't sleep at night for no, you don't know why, but you just can't sleep. Or when you fall asleep, you wake up in the middle of the night and you can fall asleep. Or you sleep all day. So either way, you sleep all day. You don't want to be out of bed. You just want to sleep. Your mood is down. Energy is low. You don't want to eat, or you eat too much. Like you don't have appetite to eat. At times when we're stressing out food, we don't feel like eating, or we're in front of the fridge taking just feeding our face constantly for more than 2 weeks. All these things have to last for more than a period of 2 weeks, right? And if you notice, I'm looking at different things. And this is what we call the PHQ-9, where it is a self questionnaire. So, patient health questionnaire, it can be administered, you can do it for yourself. And if these answers, five of these things are yes for more than 2 weeks, that's when I start looking at depression. But until then, you're just having a bad day. You're just having, and then the last question of the PHQ-9, the question 9, is the one that says, "Have you had any thoughts of ending your life?" And you
Yeah.
see me leaning in while I'm asking this, right? You see me leaning in because it is serious. When I take my PHQ-9, I go down to question 9, look at it first before I go back up, because if that's a yes, it's an automatic hard stop. I need to do something right now. I need to connect you with resources right now. I need
Right.
to put you in the right place right now, because if something is making you think it, even if you don't have a plan yet, because that will be my next question. Do you have a plan? So people will be like, yeah, I bought a gun. Is it loaded? Will be my next question. Where is it? Is it with you in your on your person, or is it at home? If it's at
It
home,
becomes a seed.
yes, I call my loved ones, to your loved ones, to find it, and they need to take it away from you. We need to put you somewhere where you have to be monitored 24/7, right? And until such a time when you tell me that you don't feel that way no more, like I don't feel, I don't think I want to hurt myself anymore, and things like that. But guess what? when we are ordinary people just living our ordinary lives, not looking at life with a trained eye. I'm sitting here saying all these things because I've been trained, right? But how about people who've not been trained? How about an individual who wakes up and find a note and then notice that their loved one just jumped off the building and they've been sleeping in the same bed with them. But because they were not trained, they didn't know that that's what was going on. They didn't know that they were suffering in silence. Because there's some people who will perk up and put a smile, but deep down inside, a lot is going on. And from their language, they can keep saying, oh, you know what, you don't have to worry about me. In a couple of days, you won't have to worry about me no more, or don't worry about that, or don't, or they're giving away their possessions. Maybe they had a very good pet, they're giving it away. Those are signs that something ain't right. If they were
Wow.
used to love this pet and now they don't care about it, their hygiene is off, certain minor things that you're looking at, then you start asking the pertinent questions, right? That's why I do the mental health first aid certification, because it trains individuals how to know when something is not going right. That way you don't sit in an office and a colleague comes in with a gun and shoots everybody. And you go, my God, John was the best employee ever. I didn't see this coming, because they showed the signs that you couldn't see with your regular eyes, that a trained eye had to see. Which is why, if we were not trained in CPR, if somebody's doing this, I can say, stop making this, funny faces. But no, they're choking. But because I was trained, I know that this is a universal sign that someone is choking. Then I have to run and do the Heimlich maneuver, right? So I can take out whatever is blocking their airway. Or I know how to start chest compressions and call 911 because I was trained. Because I've had so many situations where I'm in the hospital and the report was like CPR was started by a bystander. What if that bystander was not certified in CPR? They wouldn't have known what to do. You would have been unresponsive on the ground. They'll think you're just playing or you're just sleeping or something. So it comes with a trained eye. And the things that the community can do, one of the things is just doing the mental health first aid certification. It's a 3-year certification where it trains you how to see, how to know how to connect these individuals with resources so that these people get help. But those are the simple things. But then, yes, we have the bigger mental health challenges that come with more bigger diagnoses that need more in-depth things. But the everyday person that is going through something, you can train your eyes to be able to notice and then approach in a non-judgmental way.
Mm.
So many times you'll be like, get yourself together. Quick, yeah, you tell somebody who's struggling with depression to get themselves they can't. What if it's a neurotransmitter imbalance in the brain? They can't do it. They're gonna need help.
So I got to bring this back up because this is, it says, are you mental health first aid? And so do you certify people, or you're saying that that's what you do?
I do. I certify. This is one of the extra things I do, getting individuals mental health first aid certified. And I do it through my foundations because, like I said, I can play over in that area without anybody telling me what to do. So it's by actually Michelle Obama is mental health first aid certified. Lady Gaga is mental health first aid certified. So he started in Australia, and the USA saw the amazing impact it was having in the lives of everyday people. You don't have to be a provider like me to be able to help your neighbor. Just being certified in mental health first aid is just like first basic life support of physical first aid, right? It's the same thing. We teach you what you need to do if somebody is in that dire need of that crisis right now. This is what I can do to help this individual until help comes. Because when I'm doing CPR, I'm just buying time for EMS to arrive and take them to the hospital. But
Right.
that me keeping that blood pumping and circulating is keeping the brain oxygenated, keeping the heart oxygenated. Because if oxygen doesn't go to the brain and to the heart, they die. And that's what we call, death. And so many people get through that. So mental health first aid certification is something that I do on the side. I am an instructor in that. So I
Okay.
certify individuals, and then the certification lasts for 3 years.
Okay. So, um, how do you get into the program? How long is the program? If
So
someone was interested.
it's 6 hours long.
Oh.
Some individual, I'm mostly encouraged for us to power through it and do it in one day. But certain, since I started certifying individuals, I've never done it in 2 days. But I know some other instructors who have had to break it down 3 hours a day. But I make it so fun that my students don't even realize that they just keep going and going. And I've had so many students who've had people come in and they'll call me to say, "Oh, I took the one. My friend took the class, and they told me how awesome it was." And they say it's long, but it was really fun. So
So
just
what's the qualifications?
nothing. You just have to be an adult for this one because I'm trained to certify adults. In this one, I can only do adults. We have one for teens. We have one for firefighters because they go into these fires every day. We have one for our veterans because they've been on the front line seeing all
Yes.
things. And when we train them, they know how to also identify if one of their somebody in the platoon or somebody is going through something. They know how to show up for them. And the teens, you know how the teens can relate to their peers. They could be going through something and never tell their mom or dad, but they'll tell their peer. So most of the time, it's easy for a teen to talk to another teen. So if you're training that, it's easy for you to know how to, because the most important thing is how to approach. If I don't approach you the right way, I can make things worse because I can shut you down and you close off, and that's all I need. It's not like I can take your blood and send it to the lab and they can tell me, oh, you have depression. No, it's from what you tell me. It's from what I observe. But if you're shutting off, then I can't read, I can go in your mind and know what's going on. So the approach
So
matters.
I'm sorry. Where do you have the classes and how often? I didn't know. I'm since I
I,
just
well, I do it virtually. There are two ways to do the class, in person and virtually. But because of logistics, I tend to do it in person. I mean, virtually. So we do it via Zoom. So like me and you are sitting here, it will be a Zoom. Everybody gets the same link, and we all just sit in that class and we go through it. There's a lot to it. We have a lot of activities that we do through the class because we one of the most important practice that we do is asking someone, "Are you trying to kill yourself?" Because people don't know how to ask that. People
yeah, I
don't
was gonna say that's kind of hard to
exactly. So they try to be like, do you think about do you think about hurting yourself? Hurting
yeah,
yourself and killing yourself are two
two
different things.
different things, yeah.
So I can do this. I'm hurting myself, but taking my own life is what I'm about. I'm trying to see. So it's hard for people to say it. So one of the things that, according to Fidelity for the class, one of the trainings that we need to do is teaching people how to ask that question, and everybody has to ask it. We do a lot of we pair you guys together. There's a lot that you do. You practice this. That's why it's 6 hours long, because we go into every area, most of the common things that we see for that certification to come through. So it's not, I can say it and look at you in the eye because I've been saying it for years, for over 7 years. But we, even besides the mental health first aid certification at work, I have to ask you these things straight up. I'm not even looking
Okay.
south or east or west. I'm looking at you and saying, hey, and if you notice, I lean in because when I lean in, you see that I care about you. I want to know because I care. I'm not over here judging you. Are you trying to kill yourself? Are you really? It's
Right.
different from, are you trying to kill yourself? Because I am trying to help you and I'm not over here judging you. Like it's okay for somebody to think about killing themselves. They're going through a lot,
Yeah.
and you don't tell somebody, get yourself together. Are you really trying to kill yourself? You see how
It's deeper
judgmental,
than that. Yeah.
the kinds of things you learn how to approach. You see the
Mm.
difference between, and then there's also the cultural component to it because we know that certain cultures don't warrant people to look at people in the eye. So they will at times look away, but that doesn't mean that they are not honest. That doesn't mean that they're not telling you the truth. So we teach you other ways of looking at those things. So that's just little itty bitty from the classes that we do, but we train those how to do that. So
But
for
I'm
me,
excited about that. Yeah,
yes,
that's exciting. You don't, that's something you don't hear about.
yeah.
And Angel says she would love to host one at Speak Up Sis, a Speak Up Sis workshop,
Ooh,
which I think would be an amazing
in
thing.
person. If it's for speak up seats, I'm going in person because there is always the spirit That
Yeah. And
wonderful.
they have the space for it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put in the link, your Facebook and your Instagram accounts.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
so if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to do the first aid or um, for mental health or for a physician.
Okay. So for the mental health first aid classes, as long as I have five candidates, we can, because we can do a class with less than five because of the interactive components, and there's a lot of practice going on. We need to train. You know how when you're doing CPR, you have to sit with that dummy and press that
Yes.
until you know you have the right compression that would push blood into. So we practice that through that, and
Oh, okay.
I don't. Yeah, so we do a lot of the practice work too. So
Okay.
to have at least five. But if
Hmm.
it's more than 30 students, then I need a second. I need a second instructor. I call them my co-instructor. Now the reason is when we dive deep into these mental health areas that we're looking at, all these challenges that we're looking at, we're addressing or teaching you how to do it. In the learner, it could trigger certain things. In the learner, it could bring back. If I'm talking about maybe suicide, and you probably lost a loved one by suicide, guess what it's going to bring? All those memories. And we're not sure how it can trigger that in you. Now, we need a second learner who has to be there, who can go. We call it the virtual hallway when I'm doing it on Zoom. We create that room where you can step out into that room without anybody knowing. It's very discreet. You
Mm.
go there, and then the second instructor meets you there, because right there and there we have to provide care for you. For example, if I talk about losing a loved one and you're still grieving, it could bring back that to you. And some people cry, some people, it bring
Right.
things. And if I'm the only instructor, I can handle a class of five, because real quick I can say, hey, could you just hold a second, I can address that. But what if two people are out, so, and we only have one instructor, and then the class has to stop. And we don't want people noticing that something is going on, with someone. It's not always the case. Since I started instructing, I've never really had someone had a breakdown during the class, but it's so therapeutic that at times, just from what we're learning, these individuals can self-soothe. These individuals can provide that self-care to themselves. So, but the only limit will be if we have more than 15 candidates who are willing to get certified, then I will find a second instructor. But all of that, if we have five people who pick a day that works for all of us, and that's it, that's all we need. And then, oh, I have to send you, there's a pre-course work, because we don't assume that everybody is savvy in mental health challenges and things like that. So it's just for you to familiarize yourself. So we have a self-paced pre-course work. And then when you complete your pre-course work, that's when you're able to come into the class to
Oh,
now
okay.
the instructor-led portion. So there's a self-paced one, and then there's the instructor-led portion that is with me. So
Oh,
what we can
awesome.
do is, yeah. So if we have to do the pre-course work, everybody does it. We send it weeks in advance. Let's say, for example, we decide I want to have a class in February, right? We pick a date. I get you enrolled. So the Center for Mental Wellbeing, that's who brought it from Australia to the USA. So they go through that. They're the ones issuing the certificates. So we go through that. And then once we have you registered, all your pre-course work comes to you. You have a book. And that I was going to show you my koala bear, because the mascot for Australia is the koala bear. So you have it there when I'm teaching a class, I always have it. I don't have it with me, but you have your
Yeah.
and your manuals that come, so they'll come to you like this. They'll come to you. If it's a virtual class, you have it virtually, and it's interactive. You could write your name. You could take notes during the class on it. So most people like that one, because when you're traveling or when you're carrying a book like this, but these resources will ship to you or come to you ebook, if electronic versions, and then you go through that. You take it self-paced. It's so take your time, but you have to finish it before the instructor led portion, because they won't let me let you in the class if you've not done that.
Uh-huh.
So
I love it.
it just kind of introduces you to all these concepts, and when you are exposed to that, it begins to open your mind. Then you start to understand why certain things are happening the way they're happening. And then during that day, we go into the instructor-led portion that is guided by me. And then after that, you take your final exam and you're
Okay.
certified.
I love it. I love it. Love it. So, do you have any last words?
So
Anything you want to share?
So for me today, beyond being grateful, gratitude is something that I live by, and I'm so grateful just being here talking and just sharing part of me in a way that is almost like led by something way higher than me. So I'm always humbled, and I always try to decrease so that the higher part of me or God can increase, right? But one thing I want to say is that God has given us life and we're responsible for what he's given us. All the gifts that he's given us, we are responsible for using it and doing what we have to do. In our mind, our body, our soul, we have power to control these areas. We all know that he gave us free will for such a reason as that, so that we can take care of ourselves. We can do the things we have to do for the greater good of all and to the harm of none. Remember, for the greater good of all and to the harm of none. So anything that you're doing that is harming your health or your mental well-being, in a non-judgmental way, I say look at it closely, and begin to take charge of your mental health and your physical health. Because when you're sound mentally and sound physically, then you can connect. Your soul can connect with God the way I have to, and you can do the things you have to do. So without that, without health, mental clarity, we're lost the most part of the time. So
Yeah.
my last word would be to take what God has given us and do the right thing with it and just take charge. Most of the time we wait. It's not about being a clinician. It's not about you have to wait for the doctor to tell you what to do. But there's such a thing as taking what you have and looking at what it is that is in your surrounding and your community. And you know, if this thing is harming me, then it's not good. But if this thing is helping me, then yeah, I think it's good and I want to continue doing that. So
Amen. I
more
love it. I love it. You'll have to come back. You'll have to come back. There's so much information in there. But out of today, I want to encourage those. I have a friend. She's in the food field, the nourishment. I can't even think the name of it, but she always say, "See you healthy." And I hear you saying spirit, soul, and body,
the
and
mind, body, and soul.
yeah, and that is very important that we understand that in order to have a balance, we have to be able to tap into all those areas that helps us. And listen, don't think about it. Dr. Venetta has given us, there's no reason why we can't get help here today. And it doesn't have to be anything terrible. It might be you just need someone to really talk to. And she said that she's available. We nutrition, thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, she's available, and if you want to talk to her, I don't know if you give a 5 minute sessions or anything like that to help someone if they're in need or to give some advice. But we appreciate you being here. And yeah, gratitude is one of the most powerful things that can change our minds, our hearts, and cause us to live more healthier. And I could go on and tell you histories of things that happened in my family. We don't have time, but just listening to what you're saying is like, yeah, uh, that should have been done or this should have been done. Listen, first aid, come on, get involved. If we can get 5 people to do a Zoom call for the first aid, I think that that would be powerful. I know that Speak Up Sis is going to be getting in touch with you about that, but that is something that you don't hear a lot about, just to help us. not to say that we're doctors in that area, or we're just certified to of awareness. You're causing awareness to come about, and this day and age, and the way that the world is going, we need to be aware and understand different um, points that trigger points, and just the what you hear. A lot of it you can determine by what someone is saying, and how not to be, and this I'm just throwing it out there, religious with it. you
Mm-mm.
know you know it's beyond that. And for us to get into a place to, and I'm not saying that God Elohim is not a part of it. He's very much a part of your life. But what I'm saying is, especially in the era when I grew up, just pray about it. God'll fix it. And it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. And sometimes we wait too long because we're still waiting for him to fix it when he's made an avenue for us to go get it fixed.
Right. And the
So,
and the truth is, this could be somebody's answered prayer. This is a way that God might be using to fix it, and then at times we miss it. So at times we want God to speak up from heaven, but once He answers your prayer, He could put somebody in your life or make you come across something like this so that you know that help is there.
amen. I love it. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate it. And on Thursday, a lot of you have been wondering when my sisters and I are going to come on. We'll be on Thursday, and we'll be talking about how we were separated as young children and how God brought us back together again, and the process that it took us through. I also have two brothers, and at some point we'll all be on, but it's just the four girls that'll be on this Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's at 3 p.m. as well, Eastern time. So until we meet again, Dr. Venetta, say your last name.
Mwengella.
Wingella, Dr. Wingella, we're so glad that you was here and was able to come. You have shed so much light on mental health, on taking care of our bodies, and putting more. We can. There's a lot of people, like you said, that's in the gym but never take care of their physical body beyond that. It's time now that we begin to become healthy all the way around. And I want you to, at some point, to come back on, because you said that there's other ways to combat high blood pressure, diabetes, other than the way that the medical, I guess I'm saying it right, the way that the medical field tells us to.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
we did alternative ways.
alternative.
So we're using, like I said, the medications come with side effects, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, we take it and then we start treating the side effect that that medicine that we're trying to treat blood pressure just caused. And most of the time, I will tell my patients that there are other naturopathic ways of taking care of your health and well-being that doesn't revolve around medication. But again, when it comes to practicing, you have to do what the patient wants. But it's always okay to suggest these things, and I'm more than happy to talk about multiple ways that we can go around things. I would only put you on medication if I have to, and only to buy time enough to get your mind to the place where it has to be. For example, if it's depression when it's very severe, and then once you get to the part where you're out of that severe um, a part of your care, then where you can now start managing with your own using your mind, and then that's always the best way through psychotherapy. But
Uh,
for physical health stuff, blood pressure, diabetes, so many other ways besides medicine.
yep. Yep.
And one disclaimer though that I'm gonna make before I go is that uh,
I'm all areas.
if here is not a prescription, is not I'm not diagnosing or prescribing right here because that will come with more one-on-one time. So I don't want
Yeah.
anybody um, taking this as such because again, as a clinician, there are liabilities that can surround certain things like that. But any care is tailored to that patient. And it only comes by having an actual consultation. And then I see everything that I need to look at to come up with the perfect plan of care.
Mm. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So don't go out here and think you got the answer tonight and just get off all your medications. That's not what doctors telling us to do. We still have to use wisdom, and wisdom says do first steps first and get proper diagnosed and take
Yes.
it from there. So thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
Venetta, for being here
Thank
tonight. And thank each and every one of you that has been here. Take a moment, hit the like sign, share, and subscribe. And until we meet again, we love you, but we can never love you the way Yahweh God loves you. So remember, He loves you so much that He keeps showing you His love and how you can be effectively healthy in the kingdom. Have a good evening.
you.